What is going on, Pats Nation? It's Patriots Global here, back with another video, and in this one, we're going to be talking about running back J.J. Taylor. More specifically, though, I want to talk about his role with New England and in the Patriots backfield for the 2021 season. Now, J.J. Taylor was an offseason addition, rather a UDFA addition by the Patriots following the 2020 draft, just one of their many UDFA signings that they usually have. J.J. Taylor was very different, though, than the rest of the UDFAs that New England had. And that comes from the fact that J.J. Taylor easily could have been drafted. Now, is J.J. Taylor a first, second, third, fourth round pick? No. But J.J. Taylor is definitely a guy that I believe a team should have and very well could have taken a flyer on between rounds 5 to 7. Just a very good running back. But the problem for J.J. Taylor is that that's his position, running back. And in the NFL, running back is not highly valued. A lot of teams, although they are now a lot of teams switching into running back by committee like New England has done for the last several years, some teams, and still a good amount of teams, are still in that mindset of rolling with the same running back time after time, snap after snap, game after game, and relying on the same guy rather than running back by committee. Therefore, there's only 32 teams in the NFL, a lot of running backs. Not many running backs are going to get a chance, and that was the case here with J.J. Taylor. It's not like, wide receivers where teams are carrying 6 to 7 guys. It's not like edge rushers where they're carrying, 5 to 7 guys. And due to this fact, there is a lot of guys that were available for trade. A lot of very good caliber guys available via trade. There's also still several guys on the free agency market that are running backs that teams could also pick up. So unfortunately for J.J. Taylor, he just kind of got pushed into that pool of UDFAs despite how talented he was, and immediately was picked up by the Patriots and was the most talented UDFA that they had signed. Now, I loved J.J. Taylor from the moment they selected him, but if you're around the channel for a while now, you would know that I took a chance and said, look, I like J.J. Taylor. I just don't see him making the roster because I just don't see where he could possibly fit in unless something happens to one of these running backs. At the time, the Patriots had Brandon Bolden before he had opted out. The Patriots had Damien Harris, who was in the books for a huge season in 2020, which I would say he pretty much did. You had Sony Michel, Rex Burkhead. You were stacked at the running back position, and for a UDFA rookie UDFA to come in and, make the roster was going to be near impossible. He shows out during training camp and the little bit of offseason that we were able to see. He ends up getting cut for 53-man roster cutdowns, but gets brought back very soon after getting released, and then starts the season very well for the Patriots and was actually getting some playing time. Let's also keep in mind that this was the period of time where Damien Harris hadn't returned yet. We hadn't seen him play because he was still on injured reserve. Now, believe it or not, J.J. Taylor actually played in a total of 6 games. That actually comes as a shock. I feel like it was a lot less, but just because he was in those games doesn't mean he was actually getting playing time. He only got actual snap time in only a few of these games, but still, nonetheless, still was in 6 of the games. He had 23 total rush attempts, so really nothing, but was still able to put up 110 yards, 0 touchdowns with a long run of 28 yards, averaging 4.8 yards a carry. He was also targeted 2 times with 1 reception for 4 yards. This is pretty dang good for a UDFA coming in with a pandemic-full offseason. Just a couple weeks of training camp, a loaded backfield, no preseason, and he's 5'6", 185 pounds. He defied the odds. The Patriots also gave him only 1 opportunity in the kick return game. I would like to see a little bit more. Maybe they just weren't comfortable and said, hey, this offseason when we have more time, we'll look back at him and see if he can do anything more. But he got 1 return. It was only for 11 yards. Obviously, you can tell that J.J. Taylor really did not get much time at all throughout this entire season. He only got 50 total snaps on offense this entire season, which accounted for just 5% of New England's offensive snaps. He did also get about 13 special team snaps, which accounted for only 3% of the special team snaps. Now, J.J. Taylor was a different paced running back compared to what New England had. New England would go Sony Michel, they'd go Rex Burkhead, they'd go James White, and it seemed like any time they gave the ball to J.J. Taylor, his burst off the line of scrimmage, his elusiveness, it all just showed up very, very well every single time he ran, and it was something that it seemed defenses weren't able to stop. They were able to stop James White, they were able to stop Sony Michel, but it seemed like every single time J.J. Taylor got on the field and he was given those limited opportunities, he was shooting through gaps and picking up very, very decent yardage. Like I said, he was averaging over 4 yards per carry. So with that being said, what happened to J.J. Taylor? Well, Ivan Fears, the Patriots running back coach, was asked about this during the season when J.J. Taylor just hadn't been showing up at that point. And Ivan Fears just said, look, we have a lot of other veterans currently on the roster. They really, really like J.J. Taylor, but at this current time, he is a UDFA, or a rookie rather, so they do want to work with him more. He kind of is just the odd man out in the group. And it makes a ton of sense. New England, believe it or not, they do like to redshirt these rookies as best they can. And although not every running back gets a redshirted rookie year like a Damian Harris or a James White, for the most part, if you're a rookie, you're going to get very, very limited action. And that's kind of the case here with J.J. Taylor. Belichick did not want to just throw in a rookie and kind of hinder his development or throw him into a situation that was going to hurt him and his development, or even worse, hurt the team and their ability to win. I think it actually says a lot about how New England views J.J. Taylor in a positive way. Because look, if the Patriots didn't care about J.J. Taylor and his future with New England, they wouldn't have cared about him getting hurt or cared about his development going forward with the team. New England knew where their status was for 2020. They knew that 2021 was their priority the entire season, really. And so they were looking on to bigger and better things. It seems also that during the time that J.J. Taylor disappeared is when, of course, Damian Harris came and he showed up. Now, I will say there was actually very limited time where we had both Damian Harris and Sony Michel at the same time, because once Damian Harris came back from IR, Sony Michel went on IR. But there still was a very limited period where we did have both, and Belichick just went, look, we had Damian Harris on the bench for a whole year. He had a redshirted year. Damian Harris was showing up significantly. So they said, you know what? We like what we have, and we're going to roll with these guys. Now we're going to be looking at a very different situation a year later. New England is going to be working much, much, much more with J.J. Taylor. We get an actual offseason. We get OTAs. We get minicamp. We get training camp. We get a preseason. This is going to be a highly different scenario for J.J. Taylor, and now that he was already redshirted in a pandemic-filled 2020, 2021 is going to be where he gets a lot more playing time. Now, we don't know how exactly OTAs were other than the one day that was open to the media, but the one day we saw that was open to the media, there was only 2 running backs at Patriots OTAs, and that was J.J. Taylor and Tyler Gaffney. J.J. Taylor was getting the workload. J.J. Taylor was getting the workload in every single category you could possibly think of. Rushing, receiving, pass blocking, special teams. And yes, although these are currently right now just faster paced walkthroughs, it is still significant for the coaching staff to be working one-on-one with J.J. Taylor, putting him into these situations and seeing what he has without having to worry about any other competition from, let's say, a Damian Harris, Sony Michel. Now, currently at this time, the Patriots still have Damian Harris. The Patriots still have Sony Michel. The Patriots have Brandon Bolden and James White. Now, will Brandon Bolden still make the roster? We'll have to see, but if he does he really even get playing time because he's always pretty much just been reserved for special teams? So essentially, I would say for the most part, that's one guy out of the situation. Do the Patriots keep Sony Michel or do they trade him? We'll also have to see that. But nonetheless, New England moved on from one of their key pieces over the last few years, and sadly, running back Rex Burkhead. J.J. Taylor is the perfect guy to take over for that. Although he's obviously not as big as a Rex Burkhead is, he still can very much take over that same playing style. J.J. Taylor has speed to him. He has burst off the line of scrimmage. He has quickness. He has that wiggle to him, right? That's something that Rex Burkhead also had. But J.J. Taylor also has this fearless power to him. This kind of just run through guys mentality also, which is something Burkhead also had. We don't know to the extent of a receiving running back that J.J. Taylor has, but from what I can understand, he definitely has the ability to do so. It's just still on lock because he had more of a red-shirted year. We are also hearing that the Patriots and the coaching staff, Ivan Fears, they have been very, very impressed so far from what they have seen from J.J. Taylor as a pass blocker, and that is super important because there's not a lot of guys, I would say, that are very good at pass blocking for New England in the backfield. We'll have to see about Ramondre Stevenson and what he can do in that category, but James White isn't great. Sony Michel can't do it at all. Not 100% sure how they feel about Damian Harris. And if he can still get his way somehow on special teams, this becomes a 4-down running back, which is exactly what New England had with Rex Burkhead. During his time in college, J.J. Taylor had 62 catches for 487 yards with 2 touchdowns in 4 seasons at Arizona. While New England does still currently have James White, he is signed on a 1-year deal, and you do also have to compensate for injuries. And can we get the version of James White that we saw a couple of years ago and not the 2020 version? Either way, New England does still need another pass-catching running back, and J.J. Taylor very well could fit into that mold. Before we end this video off, though, I do want to talk about my boys and the sponsors of this video, like always, betonline.ag. Now, BetOnline has the fastest and the easiest ways to bet on all of your sports action. Football might be over, but NBA, college basketball, and the NHL are a full swing. BetOnline even covers awards, TV shows, and reality TV, along with real-time updated odds and props on almost anything you can imagine. BetOnline also has you covered for all of the news, scores, and odds, and it is the best way to place your bets, and it's completely free to sign up. All you guys got to do is head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. This is BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. Don't sit on the sidelines anymore. Get in with the action, and don't forget to use that promo code CLNS50 to receive a 50% off on your welcome bonus. But J.J. Taylor, guys, I really believe he is in for a breakout year. He is in for a big season with New England, and he very well could be your next fan favorite running back. He could be your next James White, Rex Burkhead, Shane Vereen, Dion Lewis-esque type of guy. But what are your guys' thoughts on him? Let me know in the comment section below. Remember to leave a big like on this video and subscribe to the channel for all of your New England Patriots news. But like always, I appreciate y'all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Go Pats.